everyone, welcome back to my channel. So don't y'all hate it when you're at the mall trying to buy clothes or something, or eating in the food court, and then all of a sudden a bunch of middle schoolers come in and start breaking all the escalators? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anyways, this happened quite a while ago, but I still remember all the details, so I'm actually unsure of the specific date. However, I do remember that this took place on a Wednesday in the middle of December, so I think the best guess would be December 14th, 2016. I was 12 years old and in the 7th grade. So as you could probably guess, this took place on a field trip. Field trips are always nice because, you get out of class, so if you're getting out of class, it's automatically good. And, we basically got out of doing schoolwork all day for something a lot more enjoyable, but we still learned stuff on this trip since it was more like an educational field trip. Basically, we went to this place called Imaginon. It's hard to explain since it's been so long since I've last been here, but to summarize it shortly, it's basically a children's/teen museum in Uptown Charlotte. It's right next from the Hornet Stadium, so I guess when we got to go there and then we got to explore the area and stuff, which, it was forgettable. I don't remember a whole lot from it, but I still remember it being pretty fun. And nothing really happened since we were all on our best behavior and stuff. But the really memorable part about this trip was where this video will focus on was the second part of the trip, and that was when we got to go to the food court at the mall to eat. The teachers weren't really expecting anything too bad to happen, and just because we were all very well behaved at Imaginon, and because of that, they decided to give us some freedom and let us go wherever we wanted to, just as long as we were back by a certain time. However, that was a very big mistake, because we as a school pretty much acted on our very worst behavior. Well, it wasn't everyone. In fact, about 75% of us, including me, didn't act up. In fact, me and my friends never even left our table at the food court. So you're probably wondering why people started acting up at the mall, but not at Imaginon. Well, I don't know the exact reason, but I think the best guess would be that it was because of another middle school that was also came to the mall to eat food, going to the mall for a field trip. Now, when you're on a field trip and you see another school, you know something really bad is about to happen, especially if you're middle school age. And because that's what middle schoolers do. They see another school before you know it, something's about to go down. And so that's what happened here. I think around 15 boys, who were all very popular by the way, saw the incoming school. One of them screamed, "Sabotage!" And then they all just started running up and down the escalator. Except they weren't really just running up and down the escalator normally. No, they were they were going up the down escalator and then they were going up the down escalator. So if they were looking to sabotage the other school, then this actually worked, as that prevented them from being able to. They had to basically squeeze to the side in order to let all those boys through. However, among this group of guys, there was this one kid who was, to no offense, kind of on the bigger side. Let's just say that let's just say that if we were to play tug of war, he would probably be at the very end of the rope. But so of course, him being bigger, he was probably the biggest nuisance for the other school, since everyone had to squeeze the tightest whenever he came. Anyways, what this kid did was that he held onto the railing of the escalator. However, I guess he put too much strength on it or something, as the escalator just completely stopped. He and his friends were laughing at first until a teacher came over and just started to absolutely destroy them in front of everyone. This teacher was furious at not just the kid who broke the escalator, but everyone else involved. And she had the complete right to be mad since these boys were making her school look really bad. So now that the escalator was broken, the boys in the other school literally had to go up the escalators as if they were stairs. Well, it was the last time that the boys ran over the escalators, since now it was revealed that they can't behave. They had to sit down the whole time. But considering that they were troublemakers and did a lot of stuff like this pretty often, they didn't really care. They just listened. They still left us listen, had a seat. They didn't really care. But while they were probably the worst behaved ones, it wasn't just them. We also had a bunch of people who were stealing napkins and use up entire things of ketchup and stuff. So you can guess, the teachers were pretty pissed off at all of us. And they let it all out. They let all of it out once we got on to back to school. when we boarded the bus back to go back to school. They particularly called out those boys and said that there was going to be like behavior record and stuff that'll extend to 8th grade, which I'm pretty sure was a lie. Our 8th grade teachers weren't going to know what we did in 7th grade, but considering we were like 12, 13, we believed them. Anyways, things were quite normal for the ride back home. Nobody really seemed to care, and we just pretended like nothing happened. But when we got back to school, oh man, the administration was pissed off. As not only were they aware about our behavior, but the mall complained to them about us. And so when we got off the bus, they treated us like we were going to like Alcatraz or somewhere. They did not allow us to say a word. They had us walk in a single filed line back into school and in our 4th block, which my 4th block was math, so that's where I went. However, my teacher was not there, so we instead had an administrator to look over us for the final 30 minutes of school. During these 30 minutes, we were required to basically just read the full duration, just like the rules in the hallway. We were not allowed to like say a word or even look around. Our nose had to be in a book. So, I mean, that's what I did and what most people did. However, I think there were like maybe 10 out of those 15 boys who ran over the escalator were actually in my 4th block. So you can expect one of them decided to cause even more trouble than he already was in. It wasn't the kid who broke the escalator or the one that shouted sabotage. It was just one of the others who ran around. Anyways, this kid did not want to read. Like, he had his Diary of a Wimpy Kid book on his desk, but he was in no mood to read it all. Like he did not like open it one bit. So, I mean, he never opened his book. And that's when the administrator noticed him. She really got like super pissed off at him and told him to start reading. But even this wasn't enough to convince him to read. However, the principal, though, was outside of the classroom looking around. I guess she was just looking to see if someone was like acting up or something. I don't know. But the administrator called the principal and said, "Hey, he doesn't want to read." And the principal was mad. Like, she came in and said, "Come here and bring your book with me." And then that was the all I saw from him that day. Like, I didn't see him the rest of the day. I'm not sure what she had him do. She probably forced him to read in her office. But yeah, he was in some serious trouble. Even though this was a minor offense that, like, I don't think the principal should have been involved. You gotta remember, he was already in some serious trouble for, like, running up down the stairs. So I guess that just put him in so much trouble. But I guess he was used as kind of like a deterrent for all of us. So if anyone was, like, not reading, then they knew they were in some serious trouble. And then it was time to go home, so we were all dismissed and got to go home, except the 15 boys who screwed up the escalator. I believe they all had to stay, like, after school for, like, I guess after school detention or something, and then their parents had to pick them up. Man, that would have been, like, super embarrassing. Like, you're going to, like, you do something really stupid, like break an escalator on a field trip, and then, like, you have to wait for your parents to be called to pick you up. Oh, man. You know, like, even though, I mean, they're troublemakers, so their parents probably care, but, like, if their parents, like, was, like, big on this, they got a mouthful from them. By the way, an in-school suspension is, and I'm pretty sure what they got was an in-school suspension, for, like, multiple days. Basically, what an in-school suspension is that it's like getting suspended, but you have to go to school, and, like, you have to, like, you basically get it's basically like having detention for, like, the entire day. So, I mean, they basically got to sit there at, like, the same desk for the whole day, doing schoolwork, and then they just, like, it must have been, like, super boring, but I've never been to ISS since I'm a pretty well-behaved kid, but for people that have been to ISS, they tell me that it's, like, really boring, so that's what they had to do. So, yeah, that's how a kid broke an escalator on a field trip. I hope you all enjoyed this mini story time, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!